This video mainly introduces the interference area configuration in the FAIRINO web app. Enter the interface under the menu path, Initial, Safety, Interference area. Interference types include shaft interference and cube interference, which are enabled or disabled via slider switches. First, enter the shaft interference configuration page. Under the motion strategy for entering interference zone option, select Keep Moving. Users can set the strategy for entering the interference zone in drag mode according to their needs. The options include unlimited drag, impedance callback, and switch back to manual mode. We'll first demonstrate unlimited drag. After setting, click Configure, respectively. Shaft interference is a safeguard designed for individual joint angles. The detection methods include command position and feedback position. The interference zone modes are divided into interference within range and out of interference range. Next, set the range for each joint and enable or disable the range configuration for individual joints. You can also record the current robot position by clicking the refresh icon next to the minimum and maximum values. Select the joints for which you want to enable shaft interference protection. Then click the Configure button to finalize the setup. Toggle on the Feature Enabled slider. Enter drag mode and manually drag the robot. When a joint enters the interference zone, a warning will appear on the interface. The warning will automatically clear once the joint is dragged back out of the interference zone. Run the pre-prepared motion program. When the joint moves into the interference range, a warning will appear on the interface, but the robot will continue moving. Disable this interference zone. Next, we'll demonstrate cubic interference, which is a safeguard for 3D spatial regions. Set the motion strategy for entering interference zone to stop. Set the drag strategy for entering interference zone to impedance callback. Set the impedance callback parameters, click Configure, respectively. Then configure the cubic interference zone. The detection methods include command position and feedback position. The interference zone modes are divided into interference within range and out of interference range. The reference coordinate system includes base coordinate and workpiece coordinates. Select and set according to actual usage, then click Apply. There are two methods for range setting. First, let's look at the first method, two-point method. The interference zone is defined by the diagonal vertices of the cube. You can set the positions either by manual input or by robot teaching. Move the robot to the desired position, then click the refresh icon next to the maximum and minimum fields to record the points. Click Apply, then toggle on the slider to enable the interference zone function. The cubic interference zone range will be displayed in the robot's 3D model. Drag the robot. When it enters the interference zone, a warning will appear on the interface, and the robot will generate a reverse elastic resistance. The warning will clear automatically once you drag the robot back out of the interference zone. Run the pre-prepared motion program. When the robot moves into the interference zone, the motion will stop. Next, let's look at the second method, center point plus side length. The interference zone is defined by the center point of the cube and its edge length. You can record the center point by entering coordinates directly, or dragging the robot to the center position and clicking the refresh icon. Enter the edge length for each axis in millimeters. When finished, click Apply. Toggle the slider to enable the interference zone. For the motion strategy of entering the interference zone, select Keep Moving. For the drag strategy on entering the interference zone, select Switch back to manual mode. Enter drag mode and move the robot. When it enters the interference zone, it will switch back to manual mode. The warning will clear when the robot moves outside the interference zone. Run the motion program. When the robot moves into the interference zone, the motion will not stop. That concludes the content on interference zone configuration for FAIRINO robots. Thank you for watching.